All right, pot of gold. Welcome back. LSU SEC West champions. I'm Brett. I'm here with Mike. Grant, the intern, in an undisclosed location on a very strange camera. But LSU goes to Arkansas, plays one of the weirdest games we've seen all season, and here we are. Mike, what's up?
SEC West champs, baby. That's
Fe Feels
just
weird.
feels good. Sipping on some chicken broth. Feeling
The
alive.
red or the white?
Yeah, I can never remember that, but it looks like Harold Perkins got a little bit of that beef broth, man. Harold Perkins, the man of the week, kind of the man of the year for LSU. Really having a game, dude. Having a fucking monster game.
It's weird to look. We'll let a few more people get into the live chat. If you're listening, a lot of new people joined in and listened to the Alabama episode. So if this is your second time back, enjoy. Welcome. Glad you're back. You can find us on Twitter at Pot of Gold. That's at Gold Mike. Mike is crushing Twitter. I look at your feed because for some reason it doesn't pop up on mine, so I
Because
have
I
to
tweet
click
too
and
much.
scroll.
I don't think it
And it
updates
just
all the million tweets.
I find like a tweet from 3 days ago that will always give me a chuckle because it's so fun. I can just like get in your brain of like 70 hours ago and it always makes me laugh.
You did like one today that I was like, huh, that's
That one
weird.
really got me.
I don't know
I
which
was
one
like,
it was. I forgot, but it was like from 3 days ago or something.
exactly. But yeah, look, it wasn't pretty. I don't know. Arkansas, it felt like Arkansas was going to win that game for a good long while. Jaden Daniels definitely didn't have his best game. I think the flu was probably more prevalent than a lot of people, than a lot of people said before the game and even after. But it's like got out with a win. It was the most unbelievable trap spot in the history of trap spots. The weather, blowing water, spraying the field down with water to try to like get the ice off. Like everything that could have gone against LSU went against LSU, and they still found a way to win. Shout out Josh Williams. Shout out Harold Perkins.
I love how Harold's name is Harold.
I
Like
literally had this exact same conversation in my own head. Like it's great that his name is Harold.
Harold. I mean, and no one's considered Harry yet. Like I'm sure that's coming soon. Like the nicknames are now starting. LSU tried to like label him Tasmanian Devil today. Not a fan. Not a fan.
No,
That's cheap. But he
too
truly
easy.
is. 2022 are wild. It's wild times, dude. I really believe deep down that Devin White and Tyrann Mathieu got it on, and they had a child, and his name is Harold. He's
It,
truly like the closest thing we've seen to the honey badger, and I've always said, I don't know. Did I just lose you guys?
no,
No,
we're good.
okay. I had a phone call and it just totally wiped my screen away. Harold Perkins is a guy that I'd
Look at
never
that
thought.
bulge.
Get his dick off the screen,
Yeah,
Grant. We
come
can't
on,
be having
Grant.
that.
Come on,
Dude,
Grant.
that's a great
Brian
hairy.
Kelly is getting offended at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, no, but like I never thought I'd have another Tyrann Mathieu type of individual that could dictate a game by himself on the defensive side of the football. And we're seeing it now from Harold Perkins. This is just like how we remembered Tyrann Mathieu wearing number 14 as a freshman. Towards the end of that freshman year, it was just like, dude, keep him on the field. I know he doesn't really know what he's doing, but whatever he's doing, we need to keep that going because he's just playing free. He was the only player playing free on Saturday. Everybody else was tight butthole. That's what it looked like, and it was well documented from the national media down to us. Like this was a trap game. Everyone knew. I mean, you look at the point spread. You're just like -3 at Arkansas. We just beat
More
Bama.
on that later.
Yeah, we just beat Bama. Like, what is this? And it's a testament to college football. Every single week is different. Every single environment has a play. You look at 11 o'clock against Tennessee. Not that I think we like all of a sudden beat Tennessee because it's a night game, but you fast forward to a night game with a rowdy crowd against Alabama, and it's a different team. That matters. That type of environment influences how these kids play. You wake up, play an 11 o'clock game, 35 degrees, you're crushing ice on your feet. Like, I get it. And listen, Arkansas had to play in those same elements, but Arkansas just came off of a beatdown against Liberty. They were ready to attack. They're a well-coached football team. Odom and Pittman, like they had those guys dialed in, schemed us up, ready to play. We were not mentally ready for that occasion. But the difference is you've got a handful of players led by Harold Perkins, and that's the difference.
Well,
And
and I agree with you, but I think there needs to definitely be a line in the sand of offense and defense in this game because the
yeah, no
defense
doubt,
did
no
show
doubt.
up. And I get that it was the second and third string quarterback, and Arkansas's not the most amazing offense, even though Kendall Briles is a pretty, hot name in the OC world. But like the defense showed up. There were early in that game, they could have easily allowed a little bit a touchdown on the fumble and been like, oh, that's fine. We'll get it back. And they just didn't. So I think that Matt House and the defense definitely deserve some credit. But obviously, we're going to talk a lot about what happened with the offense and everything. But yeah, just to kind of go back to Harold Perkins before we talk more about Harold Perkins the
Oh, it'll
rest
be
of
a
the
it'll be
evening.
a it'll be a Perkins convo for a while. Yeah.
You're right. Like I never thought I would watch someone be able to just dictate what happens on defense or what the offense has to do like Tyron because he was so special and his ball skills were so incredibly good. We're seeing that from Harold Perkins. Like he is an absolute problem every play. He seems to be able to punch that ball out. He has good sense for hitting the quarterback's arm or knocking the ball when he's like he's incredible. He's the I don't know. Like there's a question in the chat: is he going to be better than the Honey Badger when things are said? On this at this pace, absolutely. Is
Sure.
this pace sustainable? Like at some point,
The
teams are
Badger
going to
was
start scheming him out of a few more plays.
yeah, I mean the Badger was returning kicks and punts, and I mean he was just very versatile in that sense as just a pure athlete. Harold Perkins as a linebacker is someone that we've never seen before. I mean,
I
straight
would
up.
vote I'd vote for Harold Perkins as punt returner. I think that's the consensus here in this room, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, he was a sick running back in high school. I mean, like, give that kid the ball and he's going to pound people. But no, I mean, he's an incredible player, and going into the season, we all circled, Mason Smith
You,
as the
you
best
know how
defensive.
Everyone wanted to see Trenton Holiday come off the edge. This is Trenton Holiday off the edge, but in a linebacker's body.
Yeah, he's
You
very
know,
quick. And like we talked about, like there is no
That
angles
bend.
of attack. Like it's just whatever angle he wants. It's just like having a cheat code on a video game where you have an extra burst, and it's just like, oop, I made the wrong angle. I came through the wrong gap. But hey, guess what? I'm making the play behind the
Ooh.
line of scrimmage against what?
came through the wrong gap.
Came through the wrong gap, and he still makes the play behind the line of scrimmage. But we all circled Mason Smith as the best player on this defense going into the season, and arguably the most underappreciated and not talked about defensive player in the country. And obviously injuries happen, but Harold Perkins ascends to that status. A guy on our team, and a true freshman that will be coupled with Mason Smith next season.
Everyone's
Incredible.
favorite everyone's favorite segment. Imagine Mason Smith on this team with Harold Perkins.
Yeah, it's unreal. And like people are talking about, like the way he bends beneath the blocks. I mean, like the tackle literally had to you had to tie his shoe. Like that's how you practice that. Like, what am I going to tie my shoe to stop this cheetah? And like
I'm
he
I'm
just explodes.
sure I'm sure there's some hyperbole in what I'm gonna say, but it feels like a lot some NFL like ends or tackles wouldn't have been able to get that. Like there was just
Absolutely.
the most optimal thing that you could do in that situation. And like Mike in the chat says, his ability to like almost fall and explode. It's that like they call it quick twitch. That's like the new, not maybe not new, but the trendy
Right.
phrase. But it's just he can go from 0 to 100. There's no bad angle. There is not an angle that Harold Perkins cannot get to the player. Literally, the TV broadcast is talking about world-class, elite, track level, Olympic speed on this quarterback, and not 20 seconds later, just Perkins just walk him down. And not late, like walk him
Yeah.
down immediately.
No,
It's insane.
his game on Saturday was Sunday-esque. Like what he was able to do was very professional. It was on the level of playing on
What
Saturday. It was
blows my
incredible.
mind what blows my mind is that this dude is not the J oh my god, Jadeveon Clowney, where it's just like number one consensus. Every high school ranking in the world had this dude number one. Like it just kind of blows my mind because it's not like this dude's a sophomore or been in the program for 6 months, a year, 2 years. It's like this dude was in high school playoffs a year ago. This dude
Yeah,
got to campus in fall. It's
yeah,
not like he was a
and
spring
look, he was
guy.
no, but he was up there. I mean, like, he was like a 99, like, he was
Yeah,
one
I
of the
know. It's
top
just he's
guys.
insane.
Yeah, he's incredible. And what's great to watch about Harold Perkins is the more plays he makes, the more confident he gets. And it's almost like he improves his abilities as the game goes on and as the season goes on with playmaking abilities. Like, he gets better and better and better throughout the game. He doesn't regress. And I think it's all about him playing free and confident. And that's what I was saying earlier, dude. Like, the nonstop chatter about how he doesn't know what to do yet and, like, wait till he figures it out. Like, fuck all that. Like,
No,
I
let's
don't want
keep
him
it
to
that
figure
way.
it out. Like, let him just not think. Let him be that spy and just play free. Because honestly, right now, like, Will Anderson can kick rocks. Like, Dallas Turner can kick rocks. All those guys that were lining up as Heisman hopefuls on the defensive side of the football can't hold a candle to Harold Perkins right now. So I think
Well,
the future is going to be so exciting to watch this kid.
the last time I think I'll bring up Tyrann Mathieu in this conversation, my favorite thing about Tyrann, obviously, the interceptions, everything, he brought such an attitude to the LSU defense to where we became the most confident defense in the world. And that's how I feel watching Harold Perkins. Like, he's gonna catch a flag at some point
Oh,
for standing over a quarterback
multiple.
or shoving a quarterback's face in the dirt after he tagged. Like, and we're just gonna have to live with that. It's
Yeah.
like one of those things like Brandon Spikes kicking the ball into the stands.
Yes.
Like, I hope he is literally that nasty dude who completely changes like almost the air quotes culture of that defense like Tyrann did. I just remember Tyrann coming off the field, and like this was before they did all these like sideline cameras of players, shoving deuces. And he was just, arms crossed, like, yeah, we're that dude. And then now everyone does that. But it's just like Harold Perkins, like, I just love watching him stand over a quarterback. And I'm like, no, 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 no. But I love it.
Yeah, no, he's that guy. And honestly, dude, that's SEC officiating. They don't know Harold Perkins yet, so they're not going to throw that shit. But next season, they're gonna circle him just like they did with Devin White. They're gonna look for any reason to, like the referees feel like they need to be coaches. Like, they feel like, we're going to teach you a little lesson here, like that. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with Harold Perkins eventually. Hopefully not in the most like inopportune moment. But knowing our luck, it probably will be. But guess what? That means a play
Live
was
with it.
made, and he's going to get better, and he's going to
Yeah.
keep making crazy plays. He's going to learn. I think that is what, like, Harold Perkins' growth is going to be, is like kind of that on-field discipline, that maturity, that leadership. Like, that's what we're going to see Harold Perkins grow into. I think the play on the field, like, I don't know how much better it can get. Like, this
Right.
is like, he's going to keep making these type of plays every single game, and they're going to have to scheme around Harold Perkins. That's just what's going to happen. Is they're not going to be able to just. But I mean, he's a spy.
Well,
I mean, like, what do you?
if Harold Perkins is sick with the flu and doesn't play, LSU doesn't win that game. Like, it's just a
Yes,
very,
easy.
very, very simple thing.
That's why these recruits matter too. And that, a lot of people like to talk about, like, oh, well, we can coach up a lot of these guys that aren't these big time 5 stars, whatever. Every now and then, man, you need to get those top dogs into your program and make the difference in a game. And that's what we saw here. We look at what Brian Kelly's doing right now. And, a lot of talk about him being coach of the year because of the turnaround on the roster, and the difference we've seen from week to week to week and where we got in this season. I really want to emphasize that this is only the beginning. And Brian Kelly has a system. He has a program that he brings different places, and it doesn't just like click in year one, usually, like it is here. But what we haven't seen yet is Brian Kelly. He's got his staff. He's got the culture now. He doesn't have his guys yet. Like, Brian Kelly is going to get recruits, and they're not all going to be these elite 5 stars. He's going to recruit kids that he thinks can buy into his system and can be coachable. And then, and only then, you're going to start seeing these 5 stars randomly start trickling in. You're going to get your top dogs out of the state of Louisiana that are typically that battle with Alabama. That's going to be locked down now because they want their value to be increased by Brian Kelly by staying home. That's the difference in winning these type of football games, though. You need a plethora of these Harold Perkins. You need like a litter full of these kids, and you're going to start seeing it.
Yeah, I texted you. I texted you guys on Saturday. Like weirdly, like we're watching what we assume will be the least talented team that Brian Kelly has at LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very evident where you look at what he's building on the offensive line. He
Yep.
pieced together the 2 freshmen or your bookends. He got a couple transfers to come in. We're still with old boy at center right now, who is overachieving. And like I can't emphasize that enough. Brian Kelly is having this team overachieve. That's what's so exciting about this team and about this season is it doesn't matter. This season was about laying the foundation for the Brian Kelly era that's going to improve. And if this is the foundation, watch out. And you look at the offensive line, so Lance Hurd and Tyree Adams, like the number of players that we're bringing in to shore up the trenches, it's so much more quality here moving forward. And it's like that's where it starts, and that's where he circled the needs. And moving forward, you're going to keep getting those skill players. You got Walker Howard waiting in the wings. You got the other kid, the Hurley kid, coming in behind Walker Howard. You got the talent.
Yeah, and I don't think the plan was to start the podcast with 15 minutes about Harold Perkins. I think that's a good transition for us to like kind of just sit back and talk about how good it is to win the SEC West. Like this team just clinched the SEC West.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unreal. I do want to say one more thing about Perkins, and it does kind of coincide with winning the SEC West and kind of our outlook all of a sudden as a playoff hopeful. Like we just wanted to be back in the discussion one day, hopefully a couple seasons from now, where we're talked about as an outside dark horse, maybe sitting at 5, 6, 7 come selection Tuesday or whatever day they do it. And we have a shot. We're there year one as SEC West champions. But Harold Perkins, in my opinion, and his performance against Arkansas, you can poo-poo on our offensive performance against Arkansas and
which we will.
Yeah, winning by 3 points, and that's fine. Everyone knows that. But now you have a media darling that was just all of a sudden exploded on the scene. Every single media person, every single former player from every team was talking about Harold Perkins Jr. Like, and the people that don't know him, they have to emphasize Jr. as if like that's some new thing. But like the playoff
respect on his name,
but like the playoff committee, they go off of that type of shit. Like they like that fancy, like, ooh, do they have a story? And for whatever reason, they like to give the middle finger to Brian Kelly for leaving their, beautiful Notre Dame. But you might have a saving grace here with Harold Perkins. They like that story. They like the best defensive player in the country right now is on this overachieving LSU football team. He could be the talking point that kind of pulls us in. And it happened against Arkansas where we shat the bed.
Yeah, no, I thought about trying to get the get the Notre Dame people real riled up with the Manti Te'o, like Brian Kelly tweet, and I just couldn't really get it how I wanted. So we're back pocketing that one for maybe another week.
Look, offensively though, Josh Williams, like what else can we say about Josh Williams and the productivity that he has produced? And like you always mention, Brett, like you talk about, if you need 10 yards, Josh Williams will get you 10. If you need 7, he'll get you 7. Like that's just kind of how he works, dude. And if he's close to it, his legs are churning. And I think he's just a surprise to these defenders, dude. They come up to him and they just don't know. They don't realize like this cat's going to get 4 more, 5 more yards on you unless you go low. You got to bring it. You got to bring the noise if you're going to tackle Josh Williams.
Yeah, C. Wilk must have just joined. He said this is probably going to be BK's weakest roster at LSU, and he just won the West. That's a great point. We should have gotten to that one.
Maybe he's reiterating what we just said. He's giving us kudos.
We're talking about Josh Williams right now, so it kind of
he's joining the show.
Yeah, Josh Williams, man. It's like I'm sure there's some analytics out there that have maximum yards like per attempt type of thing, or like every play, like what's the absolute maximum that someone could have gotten on this play, and Josh Williams just reaches that like end point every time. It's like he's gonna fall forward, he's gonna push the pile, which pushing the pile, I think, is getting a little out of hand. I think we might need to fix some rules. Like the Bush push stuff is like it's out of
Well,
control. We're just
well, I
moving
mean,
piles like 10 yards these days.
well, Emory Jones decided to flip the script and pull the pile, and
I mean,
great
it
effort,
feels
dude.
safer. Feels safer.
Yeah,
That's way
and
better.
it shouldn't be illegal. Like if we want our
Yeah.
guys to take them, give them a little bear hug and move the pile, let's roll, baby. Let's roll.
But
You know,
you
I'd kind of be pissed on the other
you
end.
talked about before like Josh Williams is that perfect like Jacob Hester, like gonna just get you every yard, gonna be in the right spots and pass pro. It will be nice to see LSU try to pull in a little bit of a scat back type of guy to add a little bit of flavor to this offense because I don't know if we're going to do it today or maybe it's going to be next week, but I really think we need to take like a good deep look into the roster of who's going to be returning, who's possibly going to be able to come back and kind of look at what we have going because like we just talked about, like, this is a team that Brian Kelly had to go get 1 million transfers and had to 39 scholarship players after the Texas Bowl. And I think just to be able to like look ahead, a lot of these transfers are either going to be gone. Some of them are going to be able to come back. I just think it would be interesting to look at the roster and some recruiting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as steady and as durable and reliable as Josh Williams has been, I would love to see that home run threat in the backfield. Jaden Daniels is a home run threat, right? But
Yeah.
I think if you couple him with like a 1-2 punch of Josh Williams and an explosive back, somebody that Emory we hoped would have been, there's just something about John Emory, dude. Hold on to the damn football, my friend. Like it's just it's loaf of bread season for him. But he's close, dude. He's
It
always
gives me
like close to busting it, and then it's like, dude, wrap up.
if he just could have high stepped one more time, he could have broken it. No, every time he's like fighting for extra yards, I get that same feeling in my gut of whenever there's a punt in the air. Like it's exactly how I feel. Josh Williams is always going forward.
He's a forward man, forward progress.
But
Yeah,
so
I just
old
offensive line
Robbie in the
though.
chat. Robbie in the chat wanted to get some Lane Auburn talk. Like table that. Give us another 40
We're gonna
minutes or
talk some
so.
Auburn. We're gonna talk some
Yeah,
Auburn
it's
Lane
coming
Bob.
because we got a lot of Texas A&M to get to. Also, boys.
O-line was whack. I'll throw it out there. O-line was a whack job this past Saturday. They did not get the broth.
It looked like your worst nightmare of what Alabama could possibly do to your offensive line. Like that's how I felt watching that game of like this was my Alabama worst nightmare.
We were confused. We were slow. And then Jaden Daniels did not help at all. This was Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, his worst game.
He didn't. So as much pressure as they were bringing, the biggest complaint, I was watching the game with my dad, and it's like we never once went on 2. Like there was no hard counts because like they were jumping the snap count on numerous predictable passing downs. And I felt like that impact, like half the sacks were because we just snapped it right. They jumped the snap. Like we didn't.
It felt like we went into the game with the UAB playbook of we're just going to vanilla our way to a win and move on. Like it was.
It was almost like
you completely fucking destroy Alabama on this like zone read with the tight end of like, hey, we can either Jaden can run it or just flip it out to this dude for 8 yards, and it's like we didn't even try it. Like it's weird.
It was one of those games where Jaden just seemed a little rattled from the get-go. Like the first drive, we had a little rhythm. We were moving the ball. Then the minute he threw that pick, it was just like him. And I don't think it was all play calling because like Jaden wasn't even reading the zone reads correctly. Like you could see, like even the announcers that are pure dumbasses, they were just like, why would you not pull the ball there? Like the D end is crashing so hard.
Yeah.
Like, and Jaden for the past 3 or 4 games has been reading that perfectly. And so this game, all of a sudden it's like, boom, I'm back to my old ways. And our O-line decides not to wake up either. And it was just a recipe for disaster. In the second, you get protection, and this is just the way it goes. The second we get protection, Malik Neighbors gets a stone hand, and it's like, guys, and of all games, like we're not moving the ball at all. If you're open, catch the damn football. Like I know it's easier said than done, but I mean, Mason Taylor was non-existent either. Boom tap. Here we go with the Jack Best shit show. Negative Nancy here. Jack Best season stats, dude. I get Jack Best. Jack Best is not playing a lot, dude. Like I'm the biggest Jack Best fan there is. I'd love to see him on the field. Who you take out?
Dude,
I'm shocked. I'm shocked his stats are that good.
Wait,
yeah, I mean,
here's a crazy
he's in the
stat
game,
for you.
but, I mean, on
Out
running
of
plays.
If we would have told you at the beginning of the season that between Jack Besh, Neighbors, and Booty would all have 1 touchdown apiece, and we would be in the West at this point, would you believe me?
No,
Like,
No,
what?
never.
They each have 1 touchdown.
But like
I
that's
do.
the thing. We are missing pieces to being like a great, perfect football team. Like, and that's the thing. We're overachieving without an over the top passing game. We're overachieving without a home run running back. Like that.
No,
And that's.
I mean, we're
in my
talking
opinion,
about
that's
Josh
good.
Williams. It goes back to the point of the least talented roster Brian Kelly's going to have. And we're relying on guys like Josh Williams, all the credit in the world to him. But I mean, what an amazing job. Such an
No, it's
enjoyable
incredible
time.
coaching job to see this team overachieve. And that's what's so fun about it again.
I think, I'll say it again for the people just joining. Obviously, it was a massive letdown spot, and LSU is going to most likely look better, blah, blah, blah. I do think this was a good reality check. I mean, we were already putting in our Jaden Daniels Heisman bets and, booking our college football playoffs rooms. It's like, okay,
No,
like
SEC
this is
championship.
I know. Well, I was gonna say that, but then I was like, we did clinch, so that is okay. But no, I think it is a little bit of a good reality check of like this team has flaws. Has it shown up and has it made plays? And like, I love this team as much as any team I've ever watched at LSU. Like this team has come together. This team plays for each other. They play hard. Like all of that blah 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 rah rah shit buying into BK. But it's like this team is what it is. It's good, and I love them in the clutch situation. I'd love for them to have the ball down 3 or down 4 with 3 minutes left. I like our chances against anyone in the country.
Yeah.
But it just kind of is what it is.
No, and it's a team that any given Saturday they could blow it. They could lose a game to just about anyone on the schedule. But they could also beat anyone on the schedule.
Yeah.
And that's the point here is like this team can be coached and believe and will their way to beat anybody. That's why I believe we do have a chance against Georgia. Like there is a chance. I'm not sitting here saying we beat Georgia, but there is a chance that we could pull off that crazy upset. If any, like there will be people throwing money down on LSU money line because it's a wild, like this is the team that would screw some shit up and beat Georgia. Like that's
there's a chance. There's a chance that Georgia is too much for LSU. And like I think everyone kind of understands that going in. But there's also a good chance that Jaden Daniels has the ball down 3, down 4, down 6 with 2 minutes left. And I like our chances. I love our chances in that spot.
Do yourself a favor and go back and watch the Florida State game and watch Jaden Daniels run on turf compared to what he runs on. I'm serious, dude. Dude can fly. I know he's always fast. He's always fast. But you go back and look at him in the dome, dude. That motherfucker was moving. And I feel like he's gotten so much better, dude. You get him in the dome against Georgia, there will be plays where he's burning people. Watch him.
Hand up. In the third quarter, I did take a quick Google search of where all the college football semifinals were, just in case. I just wanted to know. I was like, I'm pretty sure they don't play in elements in these games, but I needed something in the commercial break where I'm like pulling my hair out. I needed something to calm me down. If like, well, if we can just, what's the weather in Texas going to be in 2 weeks? Like this is third quarter. I'm like keyboard warrioring, trying to figure out the
games, no outdoor games. Like if we can get the rest of our games like in a dome in the evening. That's why I don't want the Sugar Bowl.
That's a good point. The 11 o'clock really screwed with us.
I don't want the Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl's at 11 o'clock this year. And everybody keeps saying that's where we're going to end up. I don't want to end the season like that. I don't
want to be in the dome. No, don't put us
I don't want to be back in the Superdome. I don't. Chip or Robert says you got to go with my bad, dude. My bad. You gotta want JD5 to come back. I agree. I mean, dude, if there's an argument to be made that Walker Howard, and listen, this is a major offseason topic, so we won't spend too much time on it, but because this is like literally going to be the offseason topic is Walker Howard versus Jaden Daniels.
And where's Nuss going? Yeah,
Nuss is long gone, right? You gotta go with Jaden Daniels at that point. I mean, there is argument. No, there is arguments. He'll be at TCU. There is arguments to be made that Walker Howard is the future, and let's get the future started as quick as possible. So that year 3 of Brian Kelly You know, you've got year 2 of Walker Howard with that offensive line that's going to be solid. You don't want him to be starting fresh behind a rebuild. But guess what, guys? Like, Brian Kelly is building this roster where it's not going to be a detriment to whatever year this kid steps in and plays. Like, we're going to have a roster full of solid playmakers. I think Walker Howard's going to be fine when it's his time. I think Jaden Daniels, we've seen his progression. I think one more offseason and one more solid season with LSU will do wonders. Start getting the ball thrown over the top, start making some plays, some more confidence with his receivers. You've got yourself a Heisman contender. I don't think Walker Howard walks into the season next year as a Heisman contender. So you got to go with Jaden.
No, Daniels, if and when, I think this game was a good example of Jaden Daniels most likely coming back. Once again, trap game, flu, cold, icy conditions.
Either way, though,
whatever.
Jaden needs to come back. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like if and when that happens, he'll be a top 3 Heisman preseason. And it's like, I love Walker Howard. I wanted Walker Howard to start this year because I've played way too much NCAA in my lifetime. I would have just rolled Walker Howard out there and hoped to get a 6% boost in accuracy at the end of the season. But and Walker, I think Walker Howard is going to compete and try to get some reps no matter who the quarterback is. But I think Walker Howard also understands, like, hey, I'm going to walk into something beautiful here where it's year 3 of Will Campbell and Emory Jones, Zalance Hurd. Yep. Like, we can just rattle off who's going to be the line there.
Learning like the culture of what Brian Kelly wants to do too. He's sitting back and he's like, okay, Jaden Daniels goes in, smile on his face every play, every day. He's picking things up from him too, like he's.
Can you imagine how comforting though it is to know as LSU fans that once Jaden Daniels is gone, you've got a kid that's been sitting for 2 seasons learning how to play the game, like how to play at an SEC level, but he's already talented enough to possibly step in now if we had to play him, to come in at year 3. Like that's a very comforting feeling to have, but that's the norm. Like that's the norm for these elite teams. You look at guys like, now at USC, but Lincoln Riley and then guys at Ohio State. I got into an argument on Twitter with a guy, trying to claim Joe Burrow again. And it was just like, dude, do you guys claim Tate Martell too? You can't just pick and choose what degenerates you want to get. Right. So, but I'm saying, like, they have a line of players waiting to play quarterback that learn in their system. That's what we need to get to. It's like, it doesn't like we're harping on Walker Howard because it's the first time we were able to sign like the top quarterback out of Louisiana in a long time that's worthy of that stat. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to get another one right behind him or another one right behind him too. So play the best player. And Jaden Daniels right now is the best dude.
And some people in the chat, LSU's quarterback room looking insane for the next 3 years. Like, I get it. And I agree
too. You got to think about the portal.
And I love Walker Howard. I don't think Walker Howard's going anywhere, but we also said this 3 years ago. So a lot of things can happen. Injuries, transfer, like there's just a lot of things that can happen. So as positive as I am, I remember everyone saying LSU's not going to have to worry about quarterbacks for the next decade. And then we won 4 games in 2 years.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Finley was egregiously overhyped, and that
I know. I just can't get out of my head. May have been T-Bob, may have been Collada. I don't care who it was. They had this like long discussion about it, and I was just listening. Like, there's just this doesn't work out for LSU that way, and like I just like. You just can't take anything for granted. I think we even had it off pod. There's going to be millions of dollars thrown around at one linebacker who wears number 40 to transfer. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Is that going to happen a lot of places with a lot of players and maybe that aren't the biggest names like Harold Perkins? Yes. Like that.
If you have like A&M, like those players will be purchased off of A&M. I feel like if your program is trending down, like the only way that those top dogs would be up for sale is if they feel like their value is not being, held accountable, I guess, per se.
Yeah, they're not getting their fair cut.
Right. Harold Perkins right now is the talk of the town. Like, there is no, like, he's a spotlight in an LSU uniform. Like, he is LSU football right now.
Yeah, he's the brand at the moment.
Right. So, like, throw the money at the brand, throw the money at Harold. Like, I think that situation is different than like the A&Ms of the world, or some of these teams that can sign the big 5 stars and they plummet and have a bad season, kind of like Clemson, like not a bad season. I mean, they lost one game or whatever, but like those teams that are kind of out of it, that's when those poachers are going to be coming with the money.
My only point is looking out multiple years into the crystal ball of the
you
future
can't do it anymore.
Is tough to do. It's just not. It's not the way it works anymore.
The only thing I had left on here about the Arkansas game,
I had a ton of notes, but let's just go off yours because we don't need to use mine.
Greg Penn had a phenomenal football game, and like I know
overshadowed.
It's Perkins. Perkins was like, "Hold my beer, and I'll go make some more plays." But Greg Penn, it's such a good problem to have where you've got Tolan up his ass. Brian Kelly talked about it. No one's position is secure. We got 2 games left, and we're talking about how Greg Penn was potentially about to be replaced by true freshman Tolan. But you go into next season with a Greg Penn, Perkins, and Tolan all capable. But I like seeing that progress at the end of the year. And that's something that we have not been used to seeing. We have been used to seeing a couple losses and then people throw up the deuces. I'm hurt. I'm done for the year. I'm getting ready for the combine, whatever the case may be. Like Greg Penn kept getting better. He was a liability in a couple games. You got to get off the blocks. You can't get sucked in. You got to set the edge. Guess what? Against Arkansas, he did that. And that was very good to see, but Perkins just overshadowed it.
Yeah, and I think guys on this defense and guys on this team in general are probably going to have to get used to and be okay with like having good games and no one talking about it because of what Harold Perkins is going to do week in and week out over the next 3 years or 2.5 years. But
the only thing was old man Withers sightseeing in the box, getting run over. That was just amazing. Amazing footage, great content. What was he looking at?
The most concrete feat I've ever seen in the moment. And then
we're talking about the referee for those that don't understand.
And then just in like perfect Seinfeld fashion, hits the ground and gets like, I'm hit.
Dude. Yeah, just laid there. Just soaked it in, dude.
I was everyone else is like sweating the game, and I'm just dying laughing at this dude taking a tumble. Oh, it was so good.
I knew you were on the same wavelength with that. I was like, Brett's got to be dying here.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think that's congrats to LSU on the West. I think again we should circle back and give Matt House a little bit of love.
Woo! Protect this house. Protect this house. That's a great coach. That's a great coach that I did not expect him to have this defense humming at this level. He has approached every single game differently too. Like there is serious game plan that goes into every single opponent. It's not just, hey, this is what we run, this is who we are, figure it out. And there's adjustments throughout the game. It's like, this is what we plan to do. It looks like they have a leg up, and then we come out in the second half and it's a different defense and we lock it in. Matt House is extremely valuable to this program. I think Brian Kelly needs to do everything in the world to keep him going. And I think
imagine this dude in year 3. Like this dude came in and threw a bunch of transfers and freshmen and all these people together. And I don't know what numbers are, but like this defense is good.
Yeah. I think he's going to, and he's a linebackers coach, right? I think he's going to want to produce Harold Perkins. I think he's somebody that he's going to want to develop. You've got the number. Harold Perkins is going to be the top defensive player in the nation for 2 seasons in a row, like coming up. So I think
I know I said Jaden Daniels will be top 3 on the Heisman list. I guarantee you, I know someone who's going to be top 7. Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
Like Harold Perkins is literally going to have good like Heisman odds next year.
I agree.
It's going to be crazy
because they like to throw. We're going to bring out the checkbox to keep House. I know, and he should, and he's worth every penny to keep him there.
Hey, guess what? We'll pay you more than any defensive coordinator in the country. If that's the job you want, if you want to be a college defensive coordinator, you're not leaving. Matt House isn't leaving to go be a coordinator somewhere else unless it's in the national.
Not if he can keep getting his hands on guys like Harold Perkins. I mean, that's fun for him. It's got to be fun
to get his hands on.
There's got to be a little bit of House
slap
saying
him on the
like
butt.
Yeah, I wanna hang on and play this dude's career out. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think that there's a possibility he wants to be an NFL coordinator. Obviously, I think the college grind is not for everyone. I mean, this is good conversations to have. It's a Joe Brady conversation all over again. Dave Aranda conversation. Like those are the guys that you hope to keep and you most likely lose.
But here's the
And I
difference.
trust Brian Kelly. I trust Brian Kelly to hire the
Boom.
staff.
That's
And
the
it's
thing.
like
We're
the
not
big thing.
dependent anymore on coordinators. So we love him. It's a benefit. But guess
Yes.
what? The minute he leaves for another NFL gig or whatever, House will
Lock and
leave one
load.
day. Brian Kelly's going to have a list of people that he trusts. We didn't know who the fuck Matt House was, but he knew. He understood that, like,
Steeples,
this
Hankins.
guy, right? Like this dude from the Chiefs, he's not a coordinator
Kane.
right now. He's a linebackers coach, but he has history in the SEC. This is how he does his shit. Like, let him run my defense. He'll find a guy. I'm not worried about that.
Let's go over the knocks on Brian Kelly when he took the LSU job. His accent, he can't recruit, which we've proven probably not the case.
Yeah,
And he didn't have this like massively extensive coaching tree like a lot of other coaches have, just kind of because of the way his career's gone out. And it's like all those, like, check, I'm not worried about any of them. Like the staff he put together year one of 90% guys that like he's never coached with before has been ridiculously awesome. Like as good a coaching staff. I'll take our coaching staff over Bama right now, all day, every day. Give them to me. And it's like I feel confident with him finding someone else. He's the same guy that hired Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame 3 years ago. Like,
Yep.
I like where we're at. I love where we're at. It's wild that we're SEC West champions. I didn't think that. And
there's still ball to be played, dude. That's the thing, is like we're so used to after this week, like going into Thanksgiving, like, hey, I wonder who we're gonna hire for DB coach. Like we're just worried about like coaching changes.
Man, I miss Corey Raymond.
And then we give up a fucking Hail Mary at halftime against Arkansas or something.
Yeah, like we're worried about, like, right now we're usually just like slamming the refresh button on the coaching changes board. I haven't touched that thing. Like all I'm worried about right now is UAB, right? Because that's a decent football team. This is the best G5 team that we're going to play. Like this is not New Mexico. This is not Little Sisters of the Poor, Children of the Corn, whatever the saying is. This is a good team. And this is a team that we have to take seriously at night in Tiger Stadium on another cold night, in preparation for the Aggies playing their Super Bowl at Kyle Field against LSU. The only thing left for Texas A&M is literally
ruin LSU season,
is to piss in LSU's cereal or whatever the fuck the quote was. Like they're already talking about it 2 weeks away, how they want to destroy LSU's chances of any hope for the playoffs. So that's
why you come to Pot of Gold for the quote unquote whatever the fuck the quote was. That's
whatever it was.
The whole difference.
It is.
And while you're here, hit that like button. I never asked people in the chat to hit the like button.
Well, and tell your parents to subscribe, because once we get to 100,000 subscribers, we're monetized. So
tell your parents to subscribe.
I don't think
just assume.
No, wait. It's grandparents.
So I was talking to my father-in-law today. He's like, "Are y'all on the podcast and live?" I said, "Yeah, every week we go live and on the podcast."
Every week.
I said, he's like, "Oh." I was like, and once we hit this number, we're monetized. And he's like, I guess I need to subscribe.
I guess so.
I just like how you assume. I like how you assume that our listeners don't have friends. They just hopefully still have parents.
Just their parents. Just their parents.
We're getting old, dude. We're getting old. I don't know if our parents are really going to love this, but like I've had so many people like recently reach out after last week's pod. They're like, dude, love the pod. Like I'm going to start listening, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, dude, where you been for 7 years? But also like the first sentence was about Brian Kelly's testicles, and apparently people loved it. So,
and
yeah, there was a good
catching your hands on a magazine.
Yeah, there were some good YouTube comments last week.
Yeah, I don't care. That's why people love it. You know, it's
I did enjoy. And look, man, I hope you're still listening. I did enjoy the guy who was pissed that we were like not sucking off Saban. Like that gave me a good smile.
What happened?
I don't know. He's like, yeah, y'all are saying Saban's dead. Saban's the best thing that's ever happened. Yeah, dude, it's great. I was just like, bro, this is not the pod to suck off Saban. Like, I'm sorry. I'm gonna dance on that fucker's grave at any moment I can. And
we're gonna gritty. I will do my first gritty attempt on Saban's grave.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I'm not going to sit here. We're not going to break down UAB. It's just not going to happen.
No, they have a good running back. That's all you need to know.
The spread being 14.5 is a little concerning. It's not a huge number.
I think that's accurate, though.
I agree. And like you said, though, man, UAB is not like some super slouch. They've lost some games, but they're going to be able to score and move the ball. If
Dwayne McBride.
If LSU does what they should, it shouldn't be a problem. But what is it, 8 o'clock kick? It's gonna be, you're gonna be sweating, I think, late. So we'll see.
Touchdown loss to Liberty. I mean, like that Liberty's a good football team. So their losses are close. I mean, listen, this is
not run for less than 120.
Yeah, this is not a team that you're going to walk out and just sleepwalk, but it is a team that like you don't need your A game to beat. And I think like this is the week we need to like refine some skills. We need to go back to the basics. We need to get our technique in line. Like this is preparation, and it's got to be great preparation for A&M because you need to beat the shit out of Texas A&M. Like that needs to be the main agenda going into A&M is how many points can we put up against Texas A&M? How many sacks can we like? It needs to be a bloodbath, and I really think Kelly's going to finish this season strong. Like I know in college football, it's what have you done for me lately, and we have major problems with recency bias. So all we're thinking about right now is the Arkansas game, but LSU, in my opinion, has an agenda to beat the dog shit out of Texas A&M leading up to the SEC championship. I honestly, I don't think we're thinking about Georgia. I really think it's one game at a time.
I agree.
And we're going to beat the shit out of Texas A&M.
This is just not a team that you can sit here and look ahead 3 weeks to a championship.
Every game counts for this team.
Like this is a team that not fluky at all, went out and won the division. But this is not a typical SEC West division winner where it's like choo-choo, the train's coming through. Like I fully expect the Texas A&M game to be a sweat where we're just tweeting like, what the fuck are we doing? And Jimbo people are going to be, all the Texas A&M fans are going to get a little riled up. And I think it's going to be a game.
It's going to be it could be a game. We're winning this game. Like I do. There's no doubt in my mind that Brian Kelly is going to have this team prepared to beat Texas A&M. The question is it going to be close in the fourth quarter, or is this going to turn into a bloodbath? We haven't seen LSU ever turn anybody into a bloodbath this season because that's not who we are.
Except like we kind of Ole Miss, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like we pulled away, and I don't know, dude. I would love to know what that spread's going to be at Kyle Field.
LSU -6.
See, I think that's still too much.
Wait, is that what they're saying?
I feel like it's going to be like -3. I think like
they're saying the Georgia games. The Georgia games already. They're talking about 13 or 14. Yeah,
I saw 15.5.
A&M, yeah, A&M 7-ish. I could see that.
Yeah, maybe
because it's over there, right?
Yeah, it's over there. But like that's the thing. It's
Are
also
you going?
No. It's also
never again.
Never. I'm never going back there. It's one of those games.
Offer to go.
It's one of those games. No one's going to those fucking games, dude. They're 3-6, dude. Like I literally had Aggie people talking shit Saturday. Like, and I'm just like, what are you doing? This
was supposed to be you. This was supposed to be you.
Like, please rain down on me, like the bullets that rain down on me at the state park. I'll get to that in a second. But like, give me the hate. Give me all the hate you want because I'm taking it with a big ass grin on my face. We're not supposed to be here, dude. This is like we talked about the least talented team that we're gonna have for the next fucking decade. So bring it on. Talk your shit, dude. I love it.
Any semi-rational A&M fan would trade Jimbo for Brian Kelly contracts and all tomorrow.
Yeah, the tweet or the text, "You're welcome for Harold Perkins." I'm just like, what? Because he went to high school in Houston. Like I know he committed to you for a half hour and then burned your hat.
Oh,
Like,
speaking of,
so, like,
that's the rant at its finest, being able to just easily go back and find, like, all the threads from the signing day of, like, all these people saying, "Harold, glad that cancer's not in my locker room," and everything, like, what a treat. What a treat it was to read the Texags
meanwhile,
threads.
meanwhile, they got Denver Harris that they pulled away from us, like driving through a mall parking lot like he's the Joker hanging out the window. I
And they
mean,
got guys getting, suspended for wearing arm sleeves in the cold. Is that okay? I think the LSU, ish portion, I'm sure it'll come back into play, but I think it's the let's get weird hour. So get questions in the chat if you want. Do we start with Auburn? Do we start with Texas A&M?
I think since we're on A&M, let's stay on A&M for a second here, and talk a little bit about how I think. Listen, I made the graphic the other night. You know, I always have these like random like graphic creations that I do, and they're very juvenile. But like the Aggie Exodus coming on the Sunday after LSU beats the fuck out of them in Kyle Field is going to be amazing. Like you want to
I
talk
can't
about bids for Jacoby Matthews. Like Jacoby Matthews is probably gonna be our starting safety next season.
I can't explain the grin that came over my face when I saw that you actually tagged Texas A&M.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
like, "Hey, Mike tagged you in a photo," and it was like, "And 3 others." I was like, "Oh, who are the 3
I did the
others?" And it was
same
LSU,
thing.
Texas A&M, and I think I don't know, but it was
On
I
3.
died
Yeah,
on
I tagged
3.
on 3 because I wanted them to like. I really want someone to use that word, like Aggie
Out of
Exodus.
nowhere,
You
though,
wanted
Yeah,
it's
Shea
like not
Dixon to see it.
I
it's like a
wanted
lot of
somebody from On 3 to like slip that somewhere into their articles in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna be like, "That's me." Like I
please
fucking did
credit
that.
Pot of Gold.
Yeah, because remember when Jake Crane took the fucking what
No.
is the image that we made? The
Oh.
fairy godmother.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I forgot about that.
the fairy
Woodward.
godmother, and he's like, "Can I use this, please? Like, I'll credit you. I'll talk about you on the pod." And like, he never did. Like, we're asking for credit from here on out.
Forever.
Anyway,
Please
A&M,
credit Pot of Gold. No,
A&M, Lane Kiffin.
A&M, like, in just, like,
Do you
I
fire
think that
Jimbo?
yes,
How do you not?
100%.
Right?
But I think this pod was on the forefront, absolute front lines of saying, like, "Let's chill on the Texas A&M love here." In
Yeah,
my wildest dreams, I couldn't have predicted. The last game they won, Michael, I was
yeah.
with you in North Carolina.
That feels like a year ago.
Exactly.
That feels like a year
Isn't
ago.
that nuts?
Listen, when the signing day shit happened, I knew this was not going to work out. I was very adamant about that. Like from the get go, this is a recipe for a disaster. Now, are they going to fuck some people's seasons up along the way? Yes. Like they're gonna throw a bomb to a 5-star receiver that's just faster than everybody, but that same kid will probably do a spikes punt into the air and be suspended the next game and then not give a shit for 3 more games. And like
Hit a
it
bowl in the locker
hit a bowl in
room.
the locker room, make a TikTok in a parking garage of a mall, and there's no discipline because all those kids are millionaires. You give 17-year-olds $1 million and put them all in the locker room at College Station and expect them to play for Jimbo Fisher after losing a couple games, like you're out of your mind. Like it was never going to work. Now, did I think they would be this bad? No, I never saw this like losing every game type of shit. Like
No,
that's
I really thought that they would, like, finish 3rd in the West, and they'd be, like, super hyped, and we could all laugh at them again, like, "Oh, this was your best, like, season ever, good one," and then they'll be preseason number 6 again, and we would
blow.
do this whole
Yeah.
song and dance, but no, I mean, I I think we've gotten to the point where there's a probability we see, like, a breaking news while watching the game at Kyle Field, last game of the season of, like, Jimbo will not be retained.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
What
almost
I
so
want I
it's so
hope they just hire a
predictable, right?
coordinator.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
it's so, but that's like obvious. But like apparently people are like, no, like Jimbo's gonna stick it out, like he's gonna get another year. It's just like, dude, you have to cut bait now. If you're
It's just
A&M, like you gotta go, man.
it's just so weird to me how, like, all we've ever heard is like, well, Texas A&M money, rootin' tootin', shooting
Right.
Pete,
We'll just
and
buy
as
another
soon as
class.
and we'll just buy the class, and like money doesn't matter, give it to us. And as soon as they're like, well, we need to fire the coach, there's just reports like A&M
afford this
can't.
shit.
A&M can't. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, we were just talking about how it's like game over in this money game, and like now they like can't. And I get 86 million is a lot to scrub up for some donors when the NIL money is flowing everywhere else. But
well, that's the thing, dude. How many of these donors are lining up to be like, let's do it again? Like, I think there comes a point where they're like, I need a return, right?
Before I just feel like for so fucking long in our lives, all we've heard about is like how these contracts are so ridiculous and these teams will never be able to afford to get rid of them. And it just never is the case. Like, if you will get fired if you underperform, and teams will find a way. It's happened with Malzahn a couple years after a big extension. It happened to Edward. I mean, like, go down the list. It's like your job. It doesn't matter how many fucking zeros are on that buyout. Your job is just not safe.
Well, when you give Mel Tucker $90 million last season,
who's back of the week?
Because he was in talks with LSU. That's the money we're dealing with these coaches. So an 86, is it 86? Is that the number being tossed around?
That's last, I think.
Yeah, so. $86 million to buy him out. I don't.
And you think he's gonna go fucking coach for West Virginia with $100 million in the bank? You psycho.
He's going home. He's going home. West Virginia. No, I was in a text group. Someone mentioned that. I was like, that's very.
I could claim this theory as my own.
Well, I mean, I never said it was just mine, but wild take. What is this, Grant? What are we showing on here?
Shout out Des.
Yeah, Texas A&M, Michigan. No. Baylor,
what a disaster.
What a wild time. What a wild
time. I mean, we did call it and say, I mean, everyone did, but that was such a troll job.
No one looked at this and thought this was real.
It was such a troll job.
But my point with the A&M situation is this, like, Jimbo going to A&M in the first place was so out of left field. It was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, he left Florida State to go.
Be on the lookout for Jimbo's Christmas trees, boys. That's how we know.
Texas A&M, at just of all places. Dude, that's why I don't think they replace him with anyone worth a shit. I don't think they're going to cough up the money. Like, I know Lane Kiffin is a theory, like, and it's scary. Like, we don't want an offensive juggernaut to get his hands on an endless bank account at Texas A&M in the SEC West. I don't know if they're going to spend the money, because I feel like Lane's going to big ball too. He's going to be like, if you're going to buy me,
I need to be paid more than Saban.
Yeah, he'll do something like that and see if A&M's going to do it. If not, he's going to go to Auburn. But you got to cut bait with Jimbo first, right? And I just don't know, like, this whole, like, oh, we don't have the money to get rid of him just yet. You're going to have enough money to buy a Lane Kiffin? I just don't see that.
I don't know. I really don't. I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to hire an offensive coordinator and say everything's better, and Jimbo's going to open up and relinquish control. In week 3, it's just going to be the Elmo gif of let it all fucking burn. Like, I really think that's the most likely scenario if Jimbo obviously doesn't give up control. I mean, dude, him in that post-game press conference someone asked him about an OC, and he was like, smash concepts and digs are the same. I mean, we got to coach it better. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the fucking job of the offensive coordinators to coach it better. Like, that's what you're missing. Like,
who is quote unquote the offensive coordinator?
He is.
They don't have an offensive coordinator.
They don't have a labeled offensive coordinator.
They might. It's Jimbo. Like,
well, I know he calls the plays, but
he's the.
I mean, there's a lot of teams.
Get it.
No, it's his offense. It's not like Saban and Golding. Like, Golding's calling that.
That's what I'm saying. And who's their defensive coordinator
at A&M?
Yeah,
it says Daryl Dickey is the offensive coordinator and tight ends coach.
Dickey, yeah, they just got him, didn't they?
I thought they got somebody from Ole Miss, right? Didn't they take the Ole Miss DC, or somebody that they were in talks with? I forgot, because
the DC.
Yeah, Kiffin was pissed about that.
DC, they're actually doing decent. Imagine if they could score points.
Oh, I thought that's what you were
Durkin.
No, the offensive coordinator, Pete. They have a Pete Carmichael.
Yeah. But you want to switch to Auburn?
Yeah, I think so. Only thing I was gonna say is, like, it's a terrible look by Jimbo where he like wears all these different like sweaters, but not hoodies. Like Lane goes with hoodies and he goes with like a traditional like crew neck sweater. And then all-time bad look being like full out military green Texas A&M after catching a loss to Cadillac Williams.
Can't do
All-time
it.
bad look.
Can't do it. No, I think that you're right. The best case scenario would be for Jimbo to pull a Les Miles, and
We're revamping the offense, boys.
yeah, revamping the
Whole
offense,
new sheriff in
and
town.
then they're just like ready to
This
burst week 3. They're just like, God, we should have done it last year. Get
this
him out of
guy
here.
this guy happens to also be the only coordinator in the country that likes to run a toss dive. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think for that to happen, I feel like they'd have to beat LSU. Like I feel like there has to be a little bit of a cherry ending to the season. I don't know. I don't see how he survives losing to
I agree.
LSU.
I
That's
agree.
just how it. Because dude, Massachusetts, they got to fucking worry about. Like A&M's terrible. Like they're a bad football team.
It's not a given for sure, and it's like we talk about LSU can't look ahead to Texas A&M. A&M can't look ahead to anybody.
The murderer from Maryland, DJ Duncan. That's right. He did catch a charge. He was.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
happened. Forgot about that.
We do
Too
not hold coaches for things like that,
Yeah,
okay?
especially on watchtowers. I don't want that to happen. I don't want Matt Rule to happen at A&M. That's what
I'd rather Rule than Lane, and I know
no,
we're gonna
we're gonna
completely
argue on
disagree on
that.
that.
Yeah. No. I don't want I'd rather the flashy offense and no defense and just let it be an exciting situation than an actual like program changing coach. I don't like that.
I think I would have a different opinion if this was like 3 years earlier or 3 years later. But I do feel like in this wild, wild west of the NIL, at some point the NIL waters are gonna cool and it's not gonna be as ridiculous as we're seeing now. And I just think Lane at A&M in that like perfect time, perfect moment thing could be a trouble. And I'm with you. Like I think Matt Rule is a guy who builds yourself a program. I've said it many times on this pod, as much as I love the spread and Chip Kelly was my hero growing up, I fully believe like we're going back to that Matt Rule of like smash mouth. We're going to have 3 tight ends on the field. Like that's coming.
Yeah. Gotta have a defense.
And so I kind of agree with you, but I feel like it's this special like bubble of an NIL circumstance with Lane going there.
And there's a little bit of a Lane bias from your angle.
Oh yeah, I love Lane.
Let's just say it. That's fine. He's a good coach. I feel like Lane at Auburn is dangerous. I feel like Lane is dangerous.
Lane's dangerous.
He's
a wanted man. Yes.
Yeah, like that's how it is. At Auburn, though, I do feel like I don't know, dude. Like every word that comes out of my mouth, I'm just like, yeah, but A&M's psycho fans too. Like I feel like Auburn has like this cult. A&M's got a cult, but like they've got this whole thing like you're gonna beat Saban and you're gonna grow Auburn into like what it used to be, and like I feel like the history is more legit at Auburn than it. Like A&M's a bunch of fraudulence, dude. Like that, like in the they won a few games in the 30s, and all of a sudden it's like we're the fucking team for the next millennial. But Auburn actually has a little bit of ground to stand on.
Bear Bryant was here before Alabama.
Yeah, like right, exactly. And I guess Kentucky doesn't count in that matter.
No.
But I do think Auburn is just poised to be one of those great teams. They're always going to have the little brother syndrome with Alabama, though. I get that. But even in their down years, they're neck and neck with Alabama. There's something about that rivalry where it doesn't matter. Like that's a good program. It's a good team. I don't miss Auburn being good as an LSU fan, but at the same time, like that's a fun game. That's a rivalry game. That's a game that like you're supposed to be a good SEC squad. And I think Lane could definitely do a hell of a job there. I also think, like we talked about, Lane Kiffin is setting himself up to be the successor to Nick Saban in Alabama. And I definitely think it is very Lane-esque and very Bama-esque to poach Auburn's coach to replace somebody at Alabama. And I could see Lane absolutely doing that after taking the job at Auburn for like 2 years.
Yeah. And see, like in my head, I think it plays out where Lane bullies Ole Miss and says, like, I'm going to Auburn. They give him a bunch of money, say we're going to give you all this money for the staff, and then he'll just keep every interview he says, like just keep talking about how Nick Saban's the greatest human on the planet Earth, and just hope that in 2 years he just like says, "Hey, that guy's replacing me," and that's how it goes.
Although, like the next guy after Saban is a sacrificial lamb. Like
they're
gonna get.
But you
screwed.
could, I mean,
I think that's where Lane fits in the best because he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get paid if I'm the lamb. I'm the lamb.
Yeah, but
he's a perfect guy.
No, but you don't go to. I don't think you take the Alabama job just for the money. Like I feel like Lane's going to get enough money.
No, he wants to win,
right? Yeah. And it's about legacy. You go to Bama to be the best coach of all time and beat Bear and beat Nick. Like I think Lane would definitely do that, but I think there's some other names in the hat. I think Dan Lanning is another guy that's kind of an up and coming, like somebody that they might want to fucking get as an interim in between the next big dog. I don't know. That's just.
I think Cadillac Williams.
These guys, I don't think that these guys just see it like that. I think they look at it as opportunity of where they can win a national championship the easiest. Like I agree with you, and it's like, but you could say the same thing at Auburn because guess what? Like when Auburn starts if Lane starts losing at Auburn, those Auburn fans are going to say that Lane was having sexual relations with some ball girl or something and try to get him fired. And everyone will believe it because it's Lane. It's like you just have to have that mindset of like you can go in and like, you can turn any program around, blah, blah, blah. You can't win a natty. You cannot win a natty at Ole Miss. I agree.
Right. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the games. You want to talk about this past weekend? You want to talk about coming up, or
I don't even remember whatever. What happened this weekend? I don't even remember anymore.
UCLA got popped in the mouth. Oregon fell. TCU beats Texas. Like if we're looking at some of the teams ahead of us, that
a lot of things fell right for LSU. TCU is one that's worrisome.
TCU is worrisome. I don't see TCU losing again. That's just me. I know they got Baylor and they have the Big 12 championship. I feel like
the worrisome is Tennessee is who should be worried.
I feel like Tennessee's in a great spot. I feel like if anyone's looking at dominoes to fall more than us, it's Tennessee and USC. But call me crazy, Caleb Williams and Lincoln. No, dude, no, don't.
I think if now's the time. Now
championship, they will jump everybody and get in the playoffs.
Okay, that's fine. Now let's put it all out on the table.
That's fine.
LSU wins the SEC championship. We actually we beat UAB, we beat A&M, and we beat Georgia. And TCU goes undefeated, and USC goes undefeated. Are we left out? There's no way.
Well, USC has one loss. They're not undefeated, but if they finish out, if they win out and win the Pac-12 championship, there is going to be a battle, and Lincoln Riley and the media darlings and Caleb Williams.
So you're telling me that an SEC West and overall champion LSU is left out?
I'm biased to Caleb. Dude, that's tough. I don't think they should. I think LSU should be in it.
Guys, if LSU wins, there's no argument. Tennessee's at home watching. There's just not.
But Condoleezza Rice and the rest of those crew.
But to your point, the committee has already voted us 7th going into this above other teams.
Right.
And so we're getting a shot at the most powerful conference.
USC beats UCLA this weekend, they're going to catapult over us. Like that's not even a question. Yeah.
I don't know about catapult. Well, all right, the rankings are going to come out.
Then LSU beats Georgia and fucking
the committee's going to put us at 6 tomorrow, which will be ahead of USC.
Let me make this bigger.
Enhance.
Yeah. All right.
So the committee is going to put us at 6 tomorrow.
Yes.
We were at 7. They're going to put us at 6 because Oregon lost.
Mm-hmm.
And in front of it, so it's basically going to look like the AP. You're going to have Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, LSU. That's what the playoff committee is going to say.
I understand.
So
talk me through it.
If LSU wins out and we beat Georgia,
yes.
We're not going to stop at. We're not going to stop at 5. We're not stopping at 5.
Listen to me, dude. Ohio State and Michigan, one of them has to lose, right?
Sure.
Right.
And that guy's out. Whoever loses is out.
No, they're still okay. there's still a chance. There's still discussions of them being in that top 5. Okay. I'm not saying 4, but they're going to be in that top 5. Tennessee, what happens to them? Right? They just stay stagnant at 5. TCU goes undefeated. They don't fall back. They stay in that 4. Georgia hangs out in there. Do you think Georgia with 1 loss gets bounced from the playoffs?
No. It's Ohio State / Michigan 1. It's Ohio State. It's Georgia 2.
Pac-12. They want the Pac-12 to have a say.
I don't think so. No, because if that's the case, then USC would be ranked ahead of us this week.
It's the Lincoln Riley deal, dude. They've been waiting for this shit to happen. A 1-loss USC Pac-12 champ.
But they're not going to leave out an SEC champion because
that
overrules
their Rose Bowl.
That overrules their whole agenda is to leave.
There is an argument. Don't get too excited is my point. Like
there's an argument. It's just not going to happen. Like it's just not.
They're not going to do it.
It's going to be if LSU wins, it'll be the Ohio State Michigan winner at 1, and then it'll be Georgia TCU 2 and 3, LSU at 4 with Tennessee and USC just fucking hanging out, playing in the Rose Bowl. It's like I just don't think it's that difficult.
It's either that or they actually
Tennessee being in it.
Yeah, I know, but
it's either that or they
Tennessee's got no fucking chance if LSU wins. Tennessee's out.
Agreed.
It's just over. Like, I'm sorry, you came here, you went to Baton Rouge, and you beat up on them. Too fucking bad.
Now,
like you're at home.
They want to compare this 2-loss LSU team to the Penn State 2-loss team from what was that last year, the year before? It's not the same because Penn State was ranked 10th at this time in that season. We're already ranked 6th at the same time. So that means the committee is giving us for beating Bama some astronomical. Like I agree too, but they're putting us on this pedestal already. So if we beat Georgia too, I
don't think they're talking enough about LSU. I think LSU's job, like what we've been able to do with this team of overachieving to be in this position, needs to be hyped a lot more leading into this. And that's why
the only way an SEC champion LSU is not in the playoffs is if they lose to A&M and still win the SEC championship. It's just the only way.
I don't think it's black and white. I don't think it's that cut and dry. That's all I'm saying.
They've never once left an SEC champion out. That is my
first for everything.
And they've also never had a 2-loss. They've also never had a 2-loss team. And I think this would be the first year.
It just makes the whole fucking thing a sham to have Georgia lose and then 2 weeks later be in it without the team that beat them.
We're about to do this for the next 3 weeks, so get ready, boys.
You know what?
I just don't worry about that at all. It's a complete control your own destiny.
If we lose to Georgia, we have a shittier bowl game than Ole Miss and Bama. Like, that make sense. Shit doesn't make sense. They don't go off what team says.
No one gives a fuck about bowl games. Literally, no one gives a fuck about bowl games. There's
the
3
team
games.
The program does that makes more money depending on the New Year's Six Bowl versus the fucking Outback. They're making a ton more money.
Yeah, but like that, I mean, but you have an opportunity to go for the playoff. Like, it's just how it's going to work out.
I think we need to start looking at USC as somebody that could fuck this up.
Yeah, I mean,
and USC's only there because UCLA and Oregon both lost. I mean,
I get it, dude. Like, you guys act like I'm sitting here making the argument for USC.
No, I know where you're at. I know what you're saying.
I just think you're completely wrong.
Davis of the world and the Fowler, like all those guys to sit up here and beat their chest. And like they're already talking about it. Who's the coach of the year? Lincoln Riley or Brian Kelly? Like Lincoln Riley and USC are getting a lot of hype going into this week against UCLA because they're building their case for the playoff. Don't think that's not going to happen.
Their case is solely on TCU losing a game.
Well, and also don't lose sight of Mac Brown. Why shouldn't he be in the playoff if he wins out? You know?
Yeah, I mean ACC. I mean, you forget about how they want an ACC team in there. Like all the media darlings.
You know what? Listen, I'm not. No one is allowed to bring ESPN points. It's got to be solely like purple and gold goggles from here.
Fuck Reese Davis. Like they do. No one gives a shit. It's like we're gonna have the Wisconsin AD being like, I haven't seen a USC game in 4 years. I'm not voting them anywhere.
Were the people making these decisions, I wouldn't be worried, but.
That's kind of,
but it's added up every year. They've put multiple SEC teams in. That's the only reason why
I don't think Condi's still on the fucking board.
Point still stands. It's clowns.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like Pull up. Yeah, I would like.
The
We
playoff.
we
love to
have
see
done
them
this
pull
every
it.
year. Now would be a good time to go through the playoff committee. I have nothing better to do. What are you doing right now?
I got to piss, but we.
All right, well, let's go.
The thing is, we're arguing over LSU's chances to be in the playoff.
They
Like,
have to win.
yeah, I mean, obviously we have to win out. We have to beat Georgia, all that good stuff. We shouldn't even been in this position to begin with. It's exciting as hell that we have this opportunity. I just think people are going to think about that whenever it's a 2-loss team, and they're sick and tired of the SEC dominating the playoffs. That's all. Just be prepared for that conversation.
Oh, there'll be the conversation, and then on the little show, the USC graphic will pop up 6, Tennessee will pop up 5, and off we go.
And guess what? I'll probably bet that that's the case. I'm just saying, like, that's going to be the biggest argument is Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. I'm also not that this matters in the conversation at all, but I don't think USC is getting out of the next 3 weeks with 3 wins.
I was about to place a bet on UCLA money line. I mean, that's a good team, but
yeah, I think UCLA can win. I don't know who are they going to have to play. I mean, I'm assuming are they going to have to play Utah? Would they have to play Utah again? Because that'd be a fun game that I would like to watch. Time to look at Pac-12
or Washington.
I don't know. I dude.
Was it Washington?
There used to be a time where there was not much I loved more than the Pac-12, and that day is far past. So I have no idea. Pac-12 South, Colorado. What the Colorado? Fuck out of here. Disable my ad blocker. All right. Yeah, this is why I have an intern. Yeah, I don't know. I think Tennessee is praying that LSU loses, and USC is praying that TCU loses, because I think those are the only chances that they have to get in. Because Georgia's in. Like, unless Georgia loses the game before the SEC championship game, Georgia's in. Or if we
blow them out.
And then the winner of Ohio State, Michigan's in. No, I think we could blow Georgia out, and the only difference is we go to 3 and they go to 4.
Yeah, Georgia's in regardless.
Like, Georgia's in. It's just like it's over. Whether you believe in it or think it's right or not, it's just that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, and they've clearly been the #1 team all season, though. I mean, Ohio State can definitely have an argument, but
oh fuck, the Notre Dame guys are gonna bone us out of this playoff. All right, Mike, can we edit out the last 10 minutes? USC will get into the playoff if they win out.
Oh, really? What changed your mind? Notre Dame?
The Notre Dame guys on the committee, they're gonna put LSU at like 12th.
They're the only school with 2 Notre Dame guys.
There's a little bit of a bias against
what
Brian
the fuck is
Kelly.
that? Do they get 1 vote? Like, they have to only get 1 vote, right?
I don't know, but USC does play them last, right?
Oh yeah, they do play Notre Dame. That's why I was trying to come up with their schedule. I knew they had 1 more game. They got
UCLA and Notre Dame, but I'm trying to think who would be the Pac-12.
I tried to look, and I
don't even know what they consider that. What is it, North and South or what?
So, do they split it, or do they just take the best 2? I think that's only the Big 12 that take best 2.
No, the Big 12 has a game now too. They all have
games.
But
they just take the best 2 because they don't have.
Oh yeah. The Big 12 takes the best 2. Pac-12 has actual people. Pac-12.
People also on Google. People also ask, is the Pac-12 or SEC better? I got to see what's up. The Pac-12 is a remarkable 29-4 in non-league games, while the SEC is a very impressive 32-7. Even considering the facts that the Pac-12 has come a long way, the league still has not caught up to the SEC in talent and depth. That's a good breakdown, Bleacher Report. I appreciate that.
USC, like we talked about, dude, they got some solid squads that are probably like legit, like 6, 7 ranked teams through 15, 20, something like that. But as far as like playoff teams, as far as teams that are contenders for a championship, they're not there yet.
I think
Oregon's fun to watch. USC is fun to watch.
Oregon, I think, was way bigger wrench in the LSU playoff debate than USC. Obviously, I guess because they were 1 loss, but I think they worried me more.
Yeah, their 1 loss was Georgia, though. That was
right.
I think I would be okay with letting USC play Georgia.
Yeah,
I think I would enjoy that. Have Lincoln just get dicked down by the
Oh, yeah.
SEC again. That I think I'm rooting for that now. LSU can go play in some other bowl game. That's fine.
I don't have my hopes up that we're in the playoff, but I just I can't see.
If we make the
I can't
playoffs
see it.
somehow after this season or after everything we've gone through with the coaching
That'd be
search and
nuts.
Brian Kelly, I mean, like, guys, like that's absolutely like as much as I love this team, like they don't play like a playoff team. Like I get we
No.
beat Bama. I'm just saying, like, and that's from an LSU fan. So there are going to be people that are, no matter what happens, even if we beat Georgia, are going to be trying to fight that because of
I
the two
think
losses.
it feels like LSU, and I wouldn't say they're the highest ceiling team, but like they're definitely a low floor. Like their bad is worse than a lot of these top
Yeah,
teams. But
yeah.
also, once again,
They could beat anybody.
if you put the ball in Daniel's hand with one drive to go win the game, I absolutely love LSU's chances. But it does feel like things could go bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the only difference is we're not there yet. And like we keep talking about it with Brian Kelly, it's the least talented team and we're only going to get better. Like we are going to get better. That means we're not there yet. Like we can blow these games we shouldn't. Like we almost lost to Arkansas. Like if we don't have Harold Perkins like we talked about, like we blow it, we have our third loss and it's done. And Arkansas beats us. Like it. But at the same time, like we're literally having a 20-minute conversation on our playoff chances. Like that's where this team is. And
Yeah, it's just I wouldn't have thought we were ranked at this point, walking out of that Florida State game, or even, a couple weeks later where it just looks like this team was not what we were expecting. And they're kind of rounding into that form of what we expected a Brian Kelly-led LSU team to be.
I would
So
love to get the opportunity to watch Harold Perkins spy CJ Stroud. Like I want to see that type of shit happen. Now, Georgia's a different animal. Like Georgia plays fucking grown man football. Like they get in the dirt, they push you on the line of scrimmage, and their defense is disgusting. And it's players that are new. That's the scary part. It's their whole defense went pro and they
Well,
reload.
there's a good chance that we watch the SEC championship game and say like, yeah, man, like that's what happens when you get 4 straight classes of
Yeah,
solid guys.
it's
And
the
when
end
you look at
product.
LSU, it's like we have pieces of that, but we just don't have this like full roster that we love across the board. And I think that's the more likely scenario. But I also, like I said, I think there's a chance we're sitting there in the fourth quarter, like, hey, man, we got a shot here. And
Right. And then at
we're
that
the most
point,
proven team in the country late in games. Like we've been through everything, and
and then at
Georgia
that
has been in
point,
a
right.
couple.
At that point, if we pull off the victory against Georgia, like they would be fucking crazy not to have that team in the playoffs because they're the hot team. It's the hot hand. I'd love to see it. And guess what? I'm going to the Georgia game. I will talk myself into the fact by that time that we're going to beat that team. Like I really believe at that point in time, I will definitely have talked myself into us beating
Oh
Georgia.
yeah, 100%. Hopefully,
Anything can
hopefully.
happen. Any given, like we will, and that's the difference with this football team, is that if they believe it and they will themselves, like they figure it out. Like we've got playmakers that can make plays.
And it's like we know that we can beat an Alabama type team. Like we know we have that ability, and I think this team's as confident as just about any team in the country. So yeah, I don't know.
You give
Like you
us a
said,
little bit
I'll
of broth, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of
a little hot
A little
cocoa.
bit of flu.
cocoa. Are
Guys
good.
play great. How about
I
Perkins not knowing who Michael Jordan was?
Ah,
Or was it MJ? Was it the MJ that threw him off?
Ojulari went on record saying that he knew who MJ was. He just likes to joke with people.
Maybe
Or he spoke for Perkins saying that?
Yeah. Ojulari was like, he knew who MJ was. He's just a jokester.
He's a jokester. So he's done this before. He's made basketball jokes.
Yeah. They were like, oh, do you know who the president is? And he, things like that.
Is he concussed?
Outside of yeah, exactly. Did we need to check him out? Like, Brian, don't be saying that in post game.
Yeah, Harold doesn't know who anyone is.
if that Last Dance hadn't come out like 2 years ago in COVID, I would have been like, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, fuck, when was Harold Perkins born? 2004?
I don't know. I know he's like they talk about him being like a Katrina baby or something, but like I think he legit was like a baby. Like maybe
Yeah, I
not even
mean,
born.
Like
considering
conceive.
he's probably 18,
He
so
was a
2004.
contrita conceive or whatever.
An evacuee baby.
An evacuee pregnancy or something. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't even around for Katrina.
Yeah, we'll have to get the research department on that one and
It's
look
just kind of
that
like
one
a
up.
buzz term nowadays.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know, MJ's run was in the mid 90s. Harold Perkins was born in the early 2000s. Like it would, it's like
Yeah,
I
I
just
know
play
who Babe
football.
Ruth is, you know?
But I guarantee you
Who?
he's got a pair of Jordan shoes, so he knows Michael Jordan.
Right. I don't know.
Although if someone told me like a little joke, like, yeah, well, the Babe threw up, like I'd be like, I'd probably question it for a
the
second.
pig.
Like, the Babe. Oh,
You know
Babe Ruth.
the tiger got sick one match.
Yeah, sometimes I think Brian Kelly tries to get a little too cute in a
does.
press conference and catch a little. It's like, he left Sunday school, he got out of the church, and now he thinks he can rip some farts whenever he wants. And it's like every now and then it's like,
Yeah.
bro, like just give us the news, bro.
He
I
has been
love him. He
locked
can
up
do
for a
whatever.
while, dude. He's been in prison up at Notre Dame.
Obviously, like we didn't get to we didn't watch like all of his press conferences and stuff, but yeah, it's just a totally different like just personality and just everything than I ever anticipated.
He was so pissed off up there. Like he was just always pissed. He was not really like kidding and jovial like he is now.
Yeah, it's weird, and maybe it's a little bit of that. Like I have to fit in with the Louisiana culture and be more open, and I don't know. And I think he's just as he's gotten older, he's learned and a lot of he mentions a lot like demanding, not demeaning, and it's like, man, 10 years ago, I feel like it was the opposite. It
Oh
was
yeah.
like, well, we're giving you both. Like I'll get in your ass.
And that's a good coach. He learns and he grows. And I think Brian Kelly has grown as a coach. He's grown this season. And I think that's great. And then that shows that he wants to be successful here for the long term. And it's not just a quick fix and bounce out of here. It's like, no, I want to win a national championship. Like until I win a national championship, it's not done.
I don't know why pause. Why pause? Because we're about to end this thing.
Pause. Jared Addison, he be joking less if we were 3-7. Very true. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and kind of the thing that's been mentioned a bunch the last couple days and with Brian Kelly is like, well, did you expect this? What did you expect? Blah blah blah. And he said every time, like, yeah, I just wanted our team to get better. Like that's the type of thing. And it's like, yeah, that's good to hear.
I like how Brian Kelly does always stick up for the team, though. It's like we didn't lose. We had a close win against Arkansas, and the first thing he says is, "Listen, it's hard to win on the road in the SEC. Like just before everybody kills this offense, there's definitely a lot of areas that we did not perform well on. But Arkansas came out guns blazing. It was
it's funny
environment.
If we were in year 5, and the last Jimbo comment I'll make tonight, if we were in year 5 like Texas A&M and we were playing like this and squeaking out victories, then I would be a little more concerned. But it's like it's just year 1 with a completely different group of guys, and it's like finding out a way to win. It's like it doesn't have to look pretty. Will we remember this game in the future? Like there's probably going to be some like Harold Perkins talk about this game and everything, but for the most part, this is a survive in advance. Let's not think about Arkansas for another 12 months.
Well, I mean, like we stood our ground against Alabama and then we gave up 7 sacks against Arkansas. Like who is LSU's offensive line? Is it this team that we saw on Saturday, or is it the team that we've been talking about for like the 5 weeks leading up to this? Like this game just does not define who this SEC West champion LSU team is. It happened to be the same day that we were crowned, but that's not who we are. And yeah, it gave a little bit of a stink eye, a little bit. But at the same time,
if that game happened week 4, then it would. I mean, are we talking about the Auburn game? Are we talking about how we kind of look shitty against Auburn? It's like, just keep winning, and all that stuff is forgotten.
Yeah. Jared Addison. Arkansas was the first game I've been to with snow on the seats. Yeah. And, chilly ass is not a recipe for success. I love how Brian Kelly was just like, I guarantee you Brian Kelly was just like, oh, fuck. Like, I forgot. Like, I'm from Massachusetts. These guys are not. Like he's like, we'll be fine. We practiced in the elements. It's like, I don't know if we practiced in those
just because we did a jog in the fucking brisk air, Brian was like, we fucking got this. Look, I love Brian Kelly. We have to get rid of the gloves. Like it's gotta be biblical out there for you to go with fucking isotoners on the sidelines. Like I can't. This is worse than the baseball mitten. Like you have to go bare hand. I don't care if he wears a QB pouch. Like I don't care if he has the fucking pouch that he puts his hands in. We can't go isotoners.
But you gotta know though, a guy that does a top button, he's putting isotoners.
Son of a bitch, I know that's right, but we can't. Like it's just,
but it's not changing. That's the minute he undoes the button, I feel like that's when we'll get a QB pouch.
That's
the only thing worse than losing to Arkansas to like possibly not win the West is to lose to Arkansas wearing fucking gloves.
True.
Like Ed did that against Texas A&M, and it's just like, no, thank you. Like,
or at least wear like gold gloves. Like do something.
If he wore wide receiver gloves, I'm in. Like if
guys,
he's Dabo, but yeah, he's like hardball trying to fucking catch some passes. That's a different story. But we can't be going with the Donald Irwin threes like that. We can't be going with them, dude. We cannot.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I do want to tell a quick story about how I was shot this weekend. And yeah, so we're out here in Tennessee. Most people know I travel around. I've been in North Carolina. I'm in Tennessee now, but we went for a nice hike out in some nice Tennessee wilderness. State park. This is a state park. Okay. This is not just like walking through someone's backyard.
Federal land.
And we're walking through it. And I hear gunshots in the distance of this trail. And it's, loud shotguns. And all of a sudden,
what caliber?
I was getting peppered with BBs a couple seconds later. So I'm assuming a 12.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, like there's someone shooting into this state park right now. And it's like in our direction, and there was no one around, so I couldn't like holler at anybody. I screamed back at these people. I was like, hey, ceasefire. I gave them a ceasefire, dude. And that's
the most Papa Mike thing ever. Ceasefire.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, I get it, man. Like you guys are probably on your property somewhere behind the tree line, I guess, shooting skeet, and maybe one like sprayed to the right, but like
just give me 20 minutes.
Yeah, just all of a sudden though, it was like over and over again, and like my coat is freezing, so like my coat's getting like pop. I'm like, oh my god, like I'm with my wife, I'm with my dogs, like we're gonna get an eye out, like I'm hit. I was hit, and so I yelled at him, and they yelled back. They were like, "Hey!" and they just kept shooting. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" So I
get out of the way.
I called the lawman, dude. I called law enforcement, and I talked to a ranger, dude. They came fast, flying up those hills, sirens going. Dude, the craziest part is,
dude, they had to get home for the new season of Yellowstone, so they were probably booking it.
They were pissed. They knew exactly who the guy was too. They're like, yep, we know exactly what's going on here. But like as I was on the phone with the operator, I freaked out because I told them what was going on. And then they get me in touch with the ranger. But like as they're explaining the story, they're like, we have an active shooter on the trail. I was like, no, there is no.
That's what I was going to say. Like, do you think you would have gotten in trouble if you would have called and been like, man down, officer down, officer
down? Dude, like they like really escalated the call. They were like, no, there's an active shooter. Like someone's getting hit on the trail. And I was like, no, slow down. And I cut the lady off. I was like, this is what, because I knew it was like recorded and everything. I was like,
I've been duck hunting before. This is what happened.
I was like, we're getting sprayed with BBs. Like, obviously, they're shooting over the trees. But like, if someone drifts off the trail closer to these people, like they could get hit. Anyway, if you want to define hillbilly, this is where it's from, is all I'm going to say. Like that, this is a hillbilly area.
I love it.
I asked if there was like a salad station around here, and they were just like, "What do you mean, potato?" I was like, "No, not potato."
You can get a big Buford.
Yeah, dude. There's actually I haven't seen a Rally's. Plenty of Hardee's in Bojangles.
You can have a whole bunch of mums situation right there.
Bojangles, Zaxby's, and Dollar Generals.
we got
That's
anything
it for
else?
Me, dude. That's
I feel like I'm taked out at the moment.
Yeah. How's the game? I got the over in Monday Night Football.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
You got a grand on it, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So fucking
My bad,
we're like
dude. My bad.
we're like
Unit.
getting prepared. So I was like, hey, I'll probably be in the studio a little early tonight. Ooh, you're probably gonna get it 23-21 with 12 minutes left.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
And
Oh,
I
my
was like,
bad.
hey, I'll probably be in here a few minutes early. And Mike was like, yeah, I might be distracted. I have a grand on the over tonight. And me and Grant were both like, excuse me? And he was like, oh no, sorry, $50. $50.
No, I said I meant to put unit. Grand went in there, but honestly, it wasn't even a typo. It wasn't an autocorrect. I literally typed the word grand instead
in
of
your
unit.
head. In your head, you were bands.
Well, I had a good run this weekend, and we got close to that and winning.
Good one.
So I was just like, yeah, it was a solid weekend. And so grand was in my mind with betting, but it wasn't. I did not place $1,000 on the over. I don't even know who's playing. I think it's the Eagles.
You should have.
Yeah, probably.
It is the undefeated Eagles.
Eagles versus Helinski or Helini. The Commanders, whatever their name is now. Anyway, that's all right.
Well, let's go watch the end of the game. Hit us up on Twitter at potofgold, potofgold@gmail.com, patreon.com/gold@goldmike.
Over and out.